Hey there. I actually started trying to stream this last night and forgot that I had someone coming over, and I ended up having to stop. But here I am. So, um, what I wanted to talk about today is excuse me, I hate it that I have to clear my throat all the time because I know it sounds horrible. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was a counterbalance. There is a fantastic section on encounter balancing, page 85 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Nope, page 82. Well, 81 through 85, really. But and I have I don't know why it's a spreadsheet that I made. I used does all the math for me. It basically, is what's in the content of the encounter balance section of the DM's Guide. Excuse me. I should mute. So, my original, I should specify, my normal D&D game got canceled last weekend because our dungeon master couldn't make it, and so I ran just like a quick something I made, and I had 3 players. I was only expecting, when I wrote it, I was expecting to only have 2 players. I'd written it with 2 people in mind, and we had an extra player join us, which was awesome. And so I had to like dynamically scale the encounters to try and make it more interesting. So one of the things I did, so I had, we'll go here, we got PC level. I had 3 level 1 players. This is not what they thought. I had an encounter that was supposed to be 2 skeletons, right? And I was like, nah, 2 skeletons is too easy. Let's make it 3 skeletons. And it, as you can see here, it moved from medium to deadly. And it really did move from medium to deadly. Like, the battle ended with 2 of the players were unconscious, rolling death saving throws, and one of them we only had enough hit points left to take 1 hit, and the skeleton had enough hit points, had 1 hit point left, and it was a roll off between the 2 of them, and the players won, which was awesome. I did have a little bit of a safety net in place for them, so they weren't going to like totally wipe, but I didn't need it, which was good because it's much more fun for the players if it's nail biting and they win. So both players that were on death saves successfully passed 3 death saves without having to be stabilized, and the last player actually he rolled a crit for 19 damage when his target had only 1 hit point, which was hilarious. But anyway, so that was that. Excuse me. So I went into the next section, or the next section's encounter that I had already made. I made it a year ago, literally a year. Nope, that's not true. Made it last August. It's May, so not quite a year ago. However many months that is. 4 plus 5, 9 months ago. Long enough to have a baby. Not me. So anyway, so the party, again, the encounters in that are designed for 2 level 1 characters because I was thinking they'd still be level 1 when they did it. And the first encounter I had was 4 CR0 spiders. See, medium encounter. I'll kind of use the 5-room dungeon design, which means you have a guardian at a door, basically, so usually some sort of combat encounter. Then you have a puzzle or role-playing challenge. Wow, I don't remember the 5-room dungeon. Trap or setback, I believe, is next. Then a boss encounter, and then the reveal or whatever, or the revelation or the reward, treasure, stuff like that. So my original design was for 2 level 1 PCs to have a medium encounter to get in. Now I have to change that. I'm going to change that to 3, and they're level 2 now because I let them level up because it did it fun, and it was a good game. So this is obviously not going to be enough. I thought about just adding tons of spiders in, which I would have to add a lot of spiders to make it. There you go. I'd have to put 11 spiders in, to make it a medium encounter for them, and that's not how I want to do it. So instead, I like the idea of just putting in 6 spiders, so 2 for each of them. So give them something to shoot at. Everyone's getting a chance to hit everything. But an added complication of them, they're supposed to be, it's a tunnel going down on an angle that requires simple athletics checks just to navigate. But yikes, I'm also going to have them making those athletics checks to perform actions if they're in the tunnel. And so it exposes them to a potential fall. Now it's not a huge fall. It's even if they fall 30 feet, they're falling down a 45-degree angle. So it's just going to be like 1d6 from the final drop kind of thing. But they're exposed to that risk. So the challenge becomes more interesting and more deadly based just off that environment. So I've upped that. You know what I should do is, yeah, let's have a look. It's over here somewhere. No, this one. Yeah. So this document is actually the document I used to run. I should name this better. Beautiful. So this is it here. 6 spiders. I'm just going to copy this whole line or note for myself. And it's going to just say DC 8 athletics checks to take an action. In the tunnel. And I will I'll do it, whatever. I'll let them, if it's an action makes sense that they'd be able to hold on with one hand or something and do whatever they want to do, then I will make them do that. To take a combat action for sure. Take an action maybe in combat. Now, the other thing about this is if they are smart, say they throw a rope down, tie it to a tree and throw a rope down ahead of them, they'll get advantage on their checks for this. If they're not smart and they just go blasting in, then they expose themselves and they get attacked. So spiders don't do a whole lot of damage. I'm not worried about that. This is a puzzle. This is a trick that can potentially lead to a combat. And this combat is pretty balanced already. So it's a giant wolf spider is a CR quarter. So there's 2 of them. Needs to be S for plural. And then a goblin is a CR 1/4 creature as well. So we move into here. We had 3 of these, right? And it's just a medium encounter for them. So that's good. We have an easy one to get in, a medium that they can basically avoid, and then this fella is like a custom boss that I have that I made. He's a spider goblin hybrid, whatever. And originally I had him at only 30 hit points, and everything else was. And so he was basically supposed to be a challenge for level 1s. He's actually probably was too tough because he can do a lot of damage with his bite attack. But anyway, so I modified him to make him better for CR. So for CR2. So the reason I picked CR2, right, is a hard encounter for them. And since he's supposed to be a boss fight, right, a hard encounter for them would be 450. 450 just happens to be exactly what a CR2 is. So 1 done, right? Only 1 guy, so there's no extra factor in for the number of monsters or anything like that. And There you go. Now, if I take a DC out, right, it changes this because now the ratios are different. And this is, again, this is all covered in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So, yeah, so I had to modify this guy's stats. So to modify his stats, I went to page 275 in the guide. And 275 in the Dungeon Master's Guide, 274, sorry, in the Dungeon Master's Guide, has a big chart called Monster Statistics by Challenge Rating. It gives you like your average numbers. And I use that to pick it out. So I want him to be CR2, which means, so what I did was you can lower the hit points and raise the armor class, which seemed appropriate to me. So I raised the armor class by 2 points and then lowered the hit point bank, or the hit point range, by 1. And I gave him kind of middle of the road hit points. And then his damage I already have on here, and his damage I already like, and the save DC is good. Actually, I think I had set the save DC slightly easier, so I bumped it up to be more challenging, just from 11 to 13, just because that's what's recommended. It fits in line. So he has the potential to do CR2 damage, which is the 15 to 20 range at +3 to attack. So if we look at his bite attack has a potential, and his claw attack, they're both +3, and it has a potential for 4, +6 is 10, +7 more is 17, which is between 15 and 20. So if he's in close in melee range, he's only +3 to hit, but he's hitting for a lot of damage. If he's back further and he's using his short bow, he's +5 to hit, but he's only going to do 11 damage between 2 attacks. It says 5 there as the damage, but it's really 5.5. So 11 damage puts us down into like a CR1 range, but again, I've added to the attack bonus, so it's okay that he does. It's okay that he does a little less damage because he has a better chance to hit. And then I just added this ability called Sandbag in, which he's basically going to swing some of his food. He's got, humanoids or whatever wrapped up in spider webs, and he'll swing them down and try to knock people off platforms. Yeah, that only does 1d6 damage. So landing prone. This is actually wrong. I got rid of the webbing on the floor. So landing prone and take 1. Respawn. So, and then the whole fight for this guy takes place in this room here. Yeah, I wrote the whole map. I made this in Photoshop. So, this collapsed, all sorts of collapsed stuff around here. This is the tunnel that they come down. We'll land them there. And they can sort of wander around, work through. Here's the puzzle chamber. This is the trap that they don't have to go into if they don't want to. And then they can here and fight this guy. So he has mobility. He can run over. These are 5 foot square. And he's like running around in the ceiling because he's a spider. But he's a large creature, so they would be able to reach him from, like, there's nowhere he can go where they can't get onto a platform and reach him. So that's a thing. And then there are, I had originally planned these a little bit closer together, and I had the gap between them navigatable, whatever, crossable, by spiderwebs that had connected them. But now that I look at it, it seems like a little bit far for that. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he's going to be slippery. He's going to be running around trying to stay away from melee class, which they don't. They have like a bunch of range people right now, so one of the guys might be remaking his character into something a little melee. We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, this is what's going on with this adventure, and I'm going to be running it. I don't know. Hopefully not this weekend, because hopefully we can play our normal game. But if we do, we do. So the process of moving this guy is pretty simple if you understand it. And it's just a matter of, you want to read, and it starts on page 81, but it's, sorry, no, I'm talking about a different section. It starts on page 273. And there's a lot of detail in there, but you can really just read until about halfway through 275. So it's like not even 2 pages. And it really just explains how to balance things, how to get things where they're supposed to be. So when you go to page 84, no, 80. Why can't I remember my page numbers? You go to page 82. And that section there tells you how to build an encounter on an experience budget. And then you come here to tweak your monsters to make sure that they fit into that experience budget. You come to 274 to make sure. And there's a question recently on a Reddit thread that asked how people balance their encounters, and that's totally how I balance my encounter. And I find it works really accurately. Another fight, like a memorable fight that we have. Well, usually, not every battle has to be crazy, but I had 3 level 10 PCs, and they did not fight a CR2. They fought, I believe, I'm going to double check this, but they fought a CR10 bad guy, and it was hard for them. Like, they put their fighter on the front line to tank the damage, and he was 1 hit away from going down. And if he went down, the wizard and the warlock were like, they're too squishy to stand up to this thing. The monster that I used against them was a stone golem. And a quick look at that right now. Make sure that I'm not full of it. You can probably hear me flipping through pages. This way. Golem. Yeah, stone golem is CR10. So I know, like, just recently, I have an example of one where I ran 3 skeletons against these 3 PCs. They were all level 1. 3 skeletons is supposed to be a deadly encounter, and it was. Like, I actually started the skeletons at range against ranged PCs, so that they had an advantage where they got basically to attack before the skeletons could get to them. And it's still, like, I still downed 2 of the PCs. They didn't die, but I downed them. So I would describe that encounter as deadly. Like, they almost died. They almost TPK'd. So I don't know. Lots of times when I've had to try and balance an encounter, and I mean, not every encounter is going to be perfect. You're rolling a lot of dice, and a lot of things can happen that are crazy. But I find that the encounter balancing system in the Dungeon Master's Guide is good. If I remember, I'll leave a link in the not the comments, the doobly-doo, as per WheezyWaiter. I don't remember what it's called now. I'll leave a link in the notes description. What on earth is the word for that? Man, I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm gonna find out because I want to. Anyway, I'll leave. Hey, there I am. Cool. I'll leave a link down there, and it will say what I need it to say. It'll have a the page I went to doesn't even have it. Stupid. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm totally digressing and just rambling now. I'll leave a link to 2 things. I'll leave a link to my counterbalance spreadsheet in case anybody wants to check that out. It'll be like non-editing rights only, I think. yeah, you should be able to save a copy to your own thing, and then you can do what you want with it. And I'll leave a link to the Dungeon Master's Guide, the free online one from Wizards of the Coast. And yeah, hopefully you guys can balance your encounters, build cool stuff. Anyway, that's it for me. I will stream next time I have something to stream about. In the meantime, let's all make the game a better place.